Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be reviewing my custom LEGO Transformers Fall of Cybertron Ultra Magnus. This figure is based on the DS version of the game, and here he is in his vehicle mode, which is obviously very similar to Optimus's vehicle mode, with a slightly different color scheme. He also has the missiles up top. Now spinning him around, the front section is quite good, however the back is slightly empty compared to the actual design. However, this is the best I could manage at this scale without making the robot mode too kibbly. And I do think the tires look quite good here, even if they're not the right colours, they are the right sizes. And like I said, the back is slightly hollow, but I did include some taillights here. But for the most part, it's not very noticeable since you won't really be looking at it from this angle. And obviously this other side is just the same. So going back around to the front, here you can see I've included all these red details to emulate the lights that all the characters had in the game. And in my opinion this does look quite good. Even if it's not replicated 100%, it does look pretty accurate to the design. This window section of the front is also quite complex, and it uses a lot of studded on top techniques. This is to try to keep it accurate to the game, but also I tried to keep it solidified so it was not too loose. I also like these curved pieces running down the center, as well as the circle light in the middle, as it gives it quite an alien design. So here he is with the Speed Champions Lamborghini, which is the 8 wide, and the Ferrari, which is 6 wide. And here he is with Hotshot, Movie Barricade, and Movie Jazz. So he is a decently sized figure here. And he does look quite impressive compared to the Speed Champions Lamborghini, which is obviously the bigger of the two, as it is the newer scale. But getting these comparisons out of here, I think it's time we move on to the transformation. So to start off with, we'll come around to the back, and using these ball joints in the feet, we'll manipulate them around the tires, and rotate the feet a full 180 degrees. And he should be looking something like this. Next, we can come to this back section, and it is on this series of hinges, so we can just fold it up, and it should point up to the sky. This will give us clearance for later steps. And once this is done, we'll move around to the front. Here, we'll take these side pieces, and using this hinge joint, we'll just fold them out to the side. So they should be pointing forward. Now this is done, we can keep working on the arms. So we'll take these big ball joint sections, and we can just rotate them down a 90-degree angle. So the arms should be on their side now. And obviously this step is repeated on both sides. Now, moving to the waist section, we can straighten out his legs. And this step is similar to quite a lot of Optimus Prime figures. And once these are straightened out, we can then move on to the torso section. So, to start filling in gaps in the torso, we can start off at the back, where we'll rotate around his head, and this will also bring around these panel sections. So it should look something like that. Next, we can rotate around the wheels as well as the shoulder joints, as they are on an inner ball joint that's inside the chest. So it should rotate up something like this, bringing the wheel and arm. And this will give us clearance to rotate around the entire torso. So through the middle of the body, there is a pin joint, and on that pin joint we can swivel around this entire front grille section, as it will be hiding away on the back. And it should look something like that. And we can also unfold this panel, which will fill out the torso. So it should look something like this. And to tidy up the remaining grille sections, we can come round to the back. Here we can take these sections and compress them along the sides of this pillar section, and we can also rotate it up to compress it into the back. And folding those other pieces around it, we'll tab it in. And to secure the entire backpack, we can then take these folded sections and wrap them around the wheels. And I'd like to point out here there's also a Creo All About logo, in reference to the position that it sits in the game. However, it is covered up during this step. Now that the back assembly is secured, we can work on the arms. But before that, we can just rotate it around the head, as right now it is upside down, and it is on this ball joint piece of the back. So it should just fold around like this. And now, using the ball joints in the shoulders, we can rotate the arms down to his side. And once this is done, we can take the shoulder pylons as well as the missiles, and on this ball joint they will fold up into their robot mode position. So it should look like this. And we can also take the forearms, and using the ball joint just under the elbow, we can rotate them around. And that is it for the transformation. So there he is in robot mode. So to start off with, I'll work my way through some of my favorite details about this figure. So here you can see how the head sits, as well as some of the shoulder assembly, and in my opinion, this is very accurate to the game. And it is also quite secure, so he does not fall apart easily. And here's the shoulders, which are accurate to the game, with the red stripe down the middle. And I also like how the top of his chest is quite flat. It does look good not having studs exposed. And here you can also see the accurate wheel placement, or as accurate as I could get. So here he is, and I do think he looks quite good. I do think the legs are slightly too long though, and they could be slightly thicker. But apart from that, his upper torso does look very accurate to the game, and all the wheel placement here is correct. However, due to the transformation and the pieces I used, he does have these blue parts sticking off the back of his arms. But because you don't see that from the front, I don't mind too much. And you can see he also has these very long heels just to support him in robot mode. Now the backpack isn't entirely accurate, but this is because I wanted to make sure the wheels were secured, as they're not held on by the tightest connection, which is why I used these blue pieces to wrap around them. Which does make it less accurate, but it makes it more secure, which I'm all for. Now back in my older videos, I didn't cover articulation, so unfortunately there's none here. But for the most part, the shoulders are on a ball joint, as well as the elbows and wrists, which are on a ball joint and the wrist can rotate. And the legs are on universal joints, as well as 90-degree knees, as well as a rotation above the knee. And the ankles are on ball joints. But here he is compared to the 5 figures or cars that I compared him to with previously. As you can see, he is quite large and is probably a leader class nowadays. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the better looking older figures that I've done. And I wouldn't mind remaking this into Optimus if I find the time. And like I said, he is fairly accurate to the design I based him on, even if his legs are slightly skinny and slightly too long. But now we have that new Gamer Edition Prime that I could base a new model of this on if I ever come back to the design in the future. So anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you guys next week.